Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Monday Manna, clarity for the calling and direction for the doing. My name is Darla Bonk. I am the CEO and founder of Darla Bonk Consulting. And every Monday, we're joining together as faith-based leaders to set our intention, set our mind for the week, and to encourage one another to go out into the marketplace and be the light in the lost world. Today, guys, I want to talk to you about the faithfulness in the small things, the faithfulness in the small things. And we're going to dive right in. Luke 16:10 speaks with piercing clarity to every faith-driven leader, in my opinion. It says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. Many people say, once I get to this place or once I have this thing, then I will do the big intentional things that the Lord's asking me to do. And it just doesn't work that way. God looks for our obedience. He looks for our faithfulness, even in the small things, because if we aren't faithful in the little things, we don't have any kind of a track record to show that we can be faithful with the big things. So let's pause and reflect. In this high stakes world of business and leadership, it's natural to fixate on these big moments: a launch, a new product, a new subsidiary company, a merger, an acquisition. We just had the big acquisition.com that blew up the internet this weekend with Alex Hormozy, right? A big negotiation, a big new client, or maybe even a keynote that you are excited about. Yet the most powerful leaders are forged not on these grand stages, but in the stillness of routine, in the practice ground of everyday responsibility. Let's put it in perspective this way. Michael Jordan, big fan, greatest player of all time, in my humble opinion, famously said, people didn't believe me when I told them I practiced harder than I played, but it was true. That's where my comfort zone was created, because by the time the game came, all I had to do was react to what my body was already accustomed to doing. Muscle memory, right? When you get so disciplined and intentional about staying faithful in the small things and the things where nobody's watching, building your integrity when no one's watching, building your faithfulness when no one is watching, your body just turns into autopilot and does what you are training it to do. That same principle, an extraordinary effort poured into those unseen, uncelebrated moments in work, is going to transform you as a leader and your entire organization. Jordan made games look effortless because he gave his all when no one was watching. Business leaders, faith-based or otherwise, rise to excellence by pouring wholehearted fidelity into the small things: an early morning email, a double check on the payroll, a kind word to a team member, a stewardship of a modest budget. These everyday acts are the true measure of trustworthiness and leadership. Greatness, guys, begins in the shadows of routine. What do I mean? Let's say preparing a presentation with as much tenacity and earnest as you would for 1,000 if you were presenting to 10. Being punctual for an internal meeting that nobody else values. I can remember as a young leader showing up for meetings, oftentimes late, because I knew I could get my work done in the time I needed to get done. But what I was not understanding was that my tardiness was showing I was not respecting other people's time. How about managing a small budget with the same integrity and diligence you would bring if you had millions? And what about keeping your word, even when it's just between you and God? Jesus, our perfect leader, spent 30 years in obscurity on this earth before anything public about his ministry began. Faithfulness in little isn't a delay or a detour. I believe it is a divine preparation. So why does the faithfulness matter, aside from the fact that we all know it? But let's talk about the tangibles to it. God sees every quiet act of excellence, each moment of integrity, every careful stewardship of time and resources. The promotion, the higher calling, the increased influence you're praying for is the fruit of steadfast faithfulness in the unseen places. Faithfulness is about your heart. It's not just about your results. And it means following through, speaking truth, and handling resources honestly, even if there's no applause, there's no like on the LinkedIn message, or there's no new followers on your Instagram. Here's some other tangible verses that you can take with you to get into your heart, right? It says, I want to hide God's word in my heart that I might not sin against him. Matthew 25:21 says, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I'm going to now put you in charge of many things. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. And Proverbs 28:20 says, a faithful man will abound with blessings, but whoever hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. So how is the little things prepping you for the greater things? The business leader who triple checks, not for praise, but for integrity's sake, is one that will show that will happen also in the big things. How about that entrepreneur who faithfully manages expenses when the funds are tight, setting patterns for that abundance later? And how about that employee who does their best work regardless of recognition, but out of devotion and character? And it is because that is what they were hired to do. These acts of readiness and your faithfulness will show what your ability is when there is greater responsibility put upon you. They're not just tasks, they are the building blocks of influence, credibility, impact, and legacy. So the theme for today, if you can't tell, is faithfulness in the small things leads to being ready for greater responsibility. So here's your 3 takeaways. Number 1, be faithful in all things, even small things. Every small act is a test and a training ground for greater trust, and excellence begins at the micro level. Number 2, stay accountable, especially with your resources. Treat stewardship as money and time and influence as sacred, even when no one is watching. Integrity breeds credibility. And number 3, see stewardship as both worship and responsibility. Worship is not just something we do on Sunday while we're singing. Worship is an act of our service. It is our best gift we can give back to God every day in all of our actions. Every task, however modest, is an opportunity to honor the Lord. Worship is not confined to church. It is displayed in faithfulness through your everyday actions, even when you don't have an audience. Faithfulness is the invisible foundation upon which visible greatness is built. So embrace those unforeseen opportunities. Give your all when no one is watching. God sees, God knows, and in his time, he raises up faithful servants for greater things. You may not like when God does things, or there's an old song, he may not come when you want him, that he'll be there right on time. His timing is perfect. And your ability to be full of integrity and credibility in those micro moments just might allow that time window to shorten. So folks, I want you to really take this information back to you and really challenge yourself this week. What are the things that I need to be more diligent in those small micro things, those tedious things that maybe get overlooked or maybe get dismissed, or maybe you don't come fully present to during the week? And ask God to help you with those. Ask God to really help you be as consistent and dedicated to those moments as you are when you're on the big stage, when you have that big client in front of you, and when you're giving that keynote. All right, guys, God bless you this week. Have a fabulous week, and I will see you right back here next Monday.